And we are live again for our second session of Tuesday, November 4th. How are you doing today, Berkeley?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been a good week so far. Hope everyone on the line here is enjoying all the other sessions.
I think everybody has. Yeah. Oh, I can see right now I'm in, and I'm gonna see if we can get the chat section in this. Okay. So we have 8 people online. We'll give it a couple minutes. And where are you tuning in from today, Berkeley?
I'm Toronto, downtown Toronto now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Where are you out of?
I'm in Gatineau right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. My family has some roots in Ottawa, so spend a lot of time up there. Not so much in Gatineau, but on the Ottawa side.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not from around here, but but I've been enjoying my past couple of days up here for sure. The weather's been marvelous. Yeah, I'm a fan of the fall. The sweater weather without sweating to death every day is it's a nice thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Before it gets to minus 25.
Exactly. The calm before the storm.
Yeah.
So Berkeley is a 2016 Arctic alumni. So she's here to share a presentation today on finding your path. So if you want to go ahead, Berkeley, we can. It can be all eyes and ears on you.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Berkeley Wilson, and today I'll be doing a presentation kind of on reflecting on how SOI has impacted very positively my career and my network, and just overall all of my experiences in my professional and kind of educational life since my Arctic expedition in 2016, like Scott was saying. So go over a little bit of that and then start providing some tools kind of for all the attendees on how to improve and build your existing network, leveraging all the resources from SOI, and implementing that kind of in your day-to-day, whether it be at school, professional life, just starting your career, all of those kind of fun experiences. So I would say that I'll go through this agenda now, but let's wait till probably the end of the session to start doing more questions. Maybe if you have something pressing, you can pop it in the chat, but there'll be a little bit of time at the end that we can do some more detailed questions. Okay, so the introduction, I'll go through my journey. And then there's a couple more tactical sections around the power of having a strong network and kind of how to develop that, how to stand out specifically kind of in this new virtual setting that we often find ourselves in, and the importance of doing as much as you can in person as well. And then also a little section on some folks that, can experience a little more social anxiety around networking and putting yourself out there, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. So there's a couple kind of tips in there as well. And then the interactive sessions. So there'll be a QR code that pops up. I'll also put this in the chat, but we're going to do a couple little exercises, and then we can discuss that after during the wrap up. So that should take us around an hour, but we'll see. Okay. So who am I? So like was mentioned before, Arctic 2016, it was an absolutely, you can see some of the pictures here, absolutely incredible experience for me. I was in high school at the time, and that was the year that Justin Trudeau showed up at the opening ceremonies, which was incredible. You can see that really blurry picture, but it's evidence that happened. Oops. I don't know. And some other kind of nice pictures, of course, lots of ice, lots of beautiful vistas. We know it all very well. Then after that, I went on to get my mechanical engineering degree from Queen's. I don't know if anyone's from Queen's on the line, but I was there not too long ago. Then after that, throughout that, in the summers, I worked at an iron mine in northern Nunavut, so Baffinland Iron Mines. I'm sure some of you folks have heard of that. And then after I graduated, I completely went in a random direction and ended up in financial services IT strategy consulting, which is a jumble of words, but basically we would help the big banks and insurers, other kind of financial providers, do IT modernization projects, basically. So now I've since pivoted out of that and am at an energy efficiency and decarbonization services and consulting implementer, which is also a lot of words, but basically much more focused on what I'm passionate about, which is energy efficiency and reducing emissions. Then my second job, which has been exciting, which I just actually launched just over a month ago, was Represent Textiles, which is my sustainable clothing brand, which we use fabric made from ocean plastic and to make shirts and sweaters, and donate 30% of the profits to a climate change fund called the Clean Economy Fund. So they use all the funds and kind of aggregate between different Canadian climate initiatives. So they do a fantastic job at that charity. So I'll give you a little introduction of some of the main core steps in my progression, but there's definitely a common thread throughout this, which is students on ice. And when I registered to be the presenter for this, it just brought up so many memories and kind of the web of how prevalent and important SOI is and has been throughout my kind of adult life for just getting me into the places that I want to be. So it was nice to kind of create this sort of mind map of how it all happened. So again, started in 2016. So I met an educator that was an executive at Baffinland Iron Mines, which I mentioned was part of my engineering co-ops. And then I also became a student member at the Explorers Club, which I got introduced to through another educator. So those were two, fantastic experiences there. And then that directly led into the summer engineering co-op. So the educator helped me get a job at Baffinland, and I was there for two and a half-ish summers, 2 for co-ops. And then after I graduated, I went back for just do some commissioning of the work I was doing before as an EIT. And then after that, this isn't directly related, obviously, to SOI, but I'm sure having the the experience of working at this crazy sounding mine in northern Nunavut probably jumped off on the resume. So you can't really attribute it, obviously, directly to that, but I'm sure that helped in some way. So that got me the job at PwC, which was where I was doing that financial services consulting work. So I was there for almost 3 years. Really enjoyed the consulting culture and the people that I worked with and everything, but just truly was not passionate about helping the largest corporations in our country streamline their operations and cut costs and stuff. So I was looking to get out and kind of make a career switch back to what I've always been very passionate about, which has been the environment and climate and energy transition. So what did I do is I tapped back into that SOI network, and I applied to be a volunteer at the Explorers Club annual dinner. So that's kind of their annual fundraising dinner, which is in New York. So I went down there. It was so cool. So many incredible people. It was such an amazing experience. And with obviously kind of in the back of my mind, the intent, okay, this is a good network of people that are always working in these types of spaces, specifically the energy transition and kind of decarbonization side. So was poking around while I was there, kind of seeing, okay, is anyone in this field that could potentially introduce me to someone or works at a company that does more of this work? And lo and behold, at the end of the day, yes, there was. And they introduced me to, their husband actually works at my current company. So that kind of is how I got this new job and did that career switch. So that paid off going down there, definitely worked, which is fantastic. And yeah, so sorry, I guess I just covered those last two points there. And not related again to SOI, but I mean, still in the way of me wanting to make more of an impact and being inspired by the climate that I can trace back to SOI. I created this Represent Textiles business, so did that kind of in my spare time outside of work, and recently launched, like I said, about a month ago. And it's definitely not over, because creating a brand and doing all that isn't the easiest process. And we always need to kind of think of, okay, where to take this next, and where can I be more successful. And I think now I'm kind of thinking about different streams to go into, and one of them would be, because right now it's just direct to consumers, so e-commerce, kind of online sales, but now it's more, okay, it makes sense to do this as kind of a wholesale play. So that's going to be more, now I'm going to be looking more into supplying for conferences and clubs and that kind of thing. So always changing, always developing. And yeah, it's just been an exciting ride so far. Okay. Sorry, I think I jumped a couple here. Yeah. Okay, so enough about me, the power of a strong network. So this is going to be more of those kind of skill building sections that I was mentioning earlier. So at the core of it all, everything in this world is still people driven. People love talking about AI and how it's going to take over and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's people. It's people helping people and working with other people. So, focusing on getting that larger networking, making those connections, and having kind of lots of different folks that you can tap to help you, but then also for you to help others as well. And like I kind of illustrated in this little diagram here, it truly is an exponential type of network, because one person and then they know three other people, and there's always people know other people that are interested in what you're interested, there's kind of that two-way communication of, oh, I know this person who's in energy efficiency and I'd love to connect you with them, and kind of goes both ways. And ever since I've started this new job, there's been tons of people that have poked me to say, hey, like, there's someone that's interested in your industry, can you chat with them? And I'm always happy to do that, because it's a give and take type of situation. So always love helping kind of people that are trying to make it into the same space. So meaningful connections. It is definitely important when branching out and kind of starting and making new connections to always stay true to yourself, and having kind of those authentic type of conversations when you're doing these introductions and chats, coffee chats, speaking to people at conferences and things like that. So we're going to get more into that, but that's definitely a recurring trend of kind of this presentation. And another part is, again, putting yourself in situations or groups that will more likely lead you to where you want to be. Kind of drawing back to that Explorers Club annual dinner situation. It's like, okay, I have a theory about this, and then you got to just keep trying. And at the same time, it's certainly a volume game too. Like, it's not everything's going to work out the first, second, or third time. So just have to keep at it. And the more trials you have, the higher your conversion rate will be eventually. So that's something to keep in mind. And LinkedIn, definitely very important. This is something that is kind of the basis of so much networking at this point. So need to make sure that your profile is very clean and easily understood, especially if it's kind of more of a niche area that you're in or your experience is. And another tip, very big tip for sure, is, and this is more for kind of entering the job market again, but referrals, very important. So that's an internal person at a company. They'll refer you to the job application, whatever it is. And there's some stats here on how successful that is, because cold applying to jobs is very low hit rate, unfortunately, especially with a lot of these kind of bots that basically just scan things and will throw out resumes. It's, little ruthless for sure. But so the stats here, of the 1% job applications that are referrals, 40% of referred candidates reach the interview stage, which is the most important, just getting in front of that person. And then 16% of those people received offers, which in contrast is obviously much lower for cold applying. And I've seen it. I've been on that grind. It's not easy at all doing the cold application. So always better to tap into your network and kind of see who's there that can help with it and provide that referral. And then most importantly, being patient and kind to yourself. I think getting to where you want to be, and I'm not there yet. It's always a continuous journey, but that's something that you need to be cognizant of throughout. Is okay, you need to make sure that you feel good about it, and you're being patient and you're not being too hard on yourself, which is easier said than done sometimes. Okay, so I'll pause. I don't think anything's in the chat, so I think I'm good to continue going. So now into the toolkit kind of section here. So I want to start making impressions. How do I do that? So first impression is very important. People make judgments in the fraction of a second, unfortunately, but that's just how us humans work. They're important. Again, not the end all be all, but something that should be very, should be prepared and important as you're going through these types of first connections with people, these initial meetings, conferences, that kind of thing. So yeah, firstly, presentation is key. So getting into the more nitty gritty of these types of interactions. So, eye contact, very important. When you're speaking to someone, you don't want your eyes kind of darting away and looking at other people, because you can tell that, you're not necessarily paying full attention, even if you are. It's just kind of sometimes bit of a nervous habit, I would say. Not to say that you need to lock eyes the entire time, but just, you can tell when someone's continuously looking away. Then the second one, which is very, very important if you have any context on the person, is knowing your audience and being able to frame what you're saying to that person in their world. So, using their terms, how it's relevant to them, how they're doing that type of framing. And so this is very, very important too. I am so bad at this. It's so bad. I'm trying to work on it, which is there's kind of a study that says that you listen to the person's name when they say it to you, and then you wait 4 seconds. And then instead of immediately saying it back to them, it's much more effective to just wait 4 seconds and then say their name again, probably a couple more times too. And then lacing that back in throughout the conversation. You listen, you can remember their name, that I think goes a very long way. So yeah, something that I need to get better at myself. But then this is more of a personal preference, but I do think it's important that it's always better to be overdressed in a situation than underdressed. That's just how I kind of feel about it. But so memorability. This is a big thing when you're going to a conference or you're going to some sort of gala type of situation where there's tons of people, everyone is meeting a lot of people, there's speed networking, all that kind of stuff. It's very important to be memorable. And there's a few key things that everyone can do to kind of reach that memorability, which is so finding common ground between you and the other person. Someone is much more likely to remember you if you went to the same university as them, or you grew up in the same town, or those types of things. And of course, if you have no kind of prior context of the person, it's more difficult to do that. But just trying to, throughout the conversation, see how you can find that common ground with the person. And then again, if you do have the opportunity to do the research, that's great, because you can have more context on the person, you can find that common ground way easier. And I would say if you're doing a coffee chat or something, it's very important to have some kind of fallback conversations in case it gets dry or something, whatever. It's just important to have some preparation there to kind of keep the ball rolling. And this is something that I definitely like to do, and I think has probably worked to my advantage, is making the person laugh. I don't know. Humor is very important, and I think it's very useful tool to lighten the mood, make the person more comfortable, but also make yourself more comfortable throughout the process. And just, it's enjoyable. Who doesn't like to laugh? So I think where appropriate in these more casual conversations, I think it's good to kind of loosen up and try to kind of get that social lubricant, so to speak. And so another big one that I've learned for sure, more on the professional side, is people love to talk about what they're doing, about themselves, whatever. You got to let them. I think this is a big one where ask them the questions. They'll want to continue talking about what they're doing, especially if it's something that they really like or they're excited about. And I think that's like a great way to get to know that other person, but just show that interest to them, and they'll like you and kind of remember you more of like, oh, it was a very interested person that asked me all these detailed questions about whatever. So that's another one. But of course, you need to make sure they know a little bit about you. But yeah, I think it's a common one, especially in business. Dialogue going. So first, you made a good impression. You were memorable. Now you're kind of in their heads. Next is, okay, where do we take it from here? So I think there's several things that help with this, but definitely having an action, like always end on an action from any of these types of conversations. Oh, I'll add you on LinkedIn. Oh, maybe we can catch up later. Any of these types of things. And also, just in terms of concluding a conversation, definitely important to have more of an informal kind of wrap up, saying like, oh, it was great to talk about this. I really appreciated you informing me about XYZ. All that kind of dialogue is great because it also lets them know that you were listening intently and you took in what they were saying. And that's always important for the other person too. Okay. And then, yeah, the first point is just being relaxed, making that authentic connection, be yourself. People can tell if you're being a little bit too stiff. It's always good to just be more yourself than. Okay. Any questions on that? I don't think I saw anything come in, so that's good. Well, I mean, I'm saying we'll we'll do that at the end. I just don't want to make sure we get through it all. So, okay, so this is the introvert kind of part of the toolkit. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been lots of times in my life where it's just been like, oh, I'm anxious to meet this person, or I don't like, what if I don't know what to say or whatever. So I think everyone goes through these types of things, and it's just important to, talk to yourself and relax and make sure that you make yourself feel comfortable, and have things in the back of your head and have, conversational pieces in your back pocket that you can pull out as a crutch through the conversations. So my first big one is prepare your setting and prepare your conversation to suit you. So I think certainly being in group settings can be much more difficult. Like if there's one person that you want to talk to, but there's 5 other people and everyone's trying to pile on, it's just, it's not a very easy way to get a word in. So I think structuring, once you speak to the person, if you get an opportunity to try to get them alone, like that's very, I think that helps the most because you have their undivided attention, and you can try to set up something more structured later. But yeah, just trying to make sure that you can push the conversation that you want to have into a space where you're more comfortable. And yeah, so I think another thing is setting it. So let's say you are going to have a follow-on conversation with the person in person, then go to a place that you're comfortable with, a space that you've seen before several times, where the bathroom is, everything. That's always very important to kind of the familiarity of a place will make people in your subconscious feel much more at ease. So your favorite coffee shop chain, that type of thing. Then arriving early. So this is very important too. I am not the most punctual person sometimes, and that can lead to quite a bit of stress, especially when I'm meeting someone. But something I've been working on quite a lot recently is just like arriving early to things. You don't need to cut everything to the last minute. Allow more than enough time so you can settle in and kind of breathe and be comfortable in the space that you're in. And on that note, breathing, very, very important, especially like, I don't know, for anxiety that I've experienced. I think it's always very important to just kind of clear your head before anything, calm down, just have a minute to yourself to clear your mind, and not just have all these thoughts spinning in all the time just right before you meet someone. So, or job interview, whatever it is. Okay, so when you have their attention, so that's kind of that pre-setup going into, okay, now you're with this person, you're in the interview, you're at this speed networking event, and you all of a sudden don't know what you want to say, or you blank, or everything kind of just jumps out of your head. There's some things that I always kind of try to use as a crutch, which are the what's and how's. So that's just like simple questions that you can always ask the person, kind of tying back to that, how everyone likes to talk part. Like if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and the best way is to just kind of maybe shift it more on them for a little bit until you can get more comfortable with the conversation. So asking them about what is your experience with whatever the topic of interest was. How did you get there? What difficulties? How do you recommend getting prepared for or involved in that topic? What's the next project? So it's just, there's a lot of those types of questions that you can kind of just have in your back pocket and think about that. Okay, so I can just ask, what about this? Or I can ask how you did that. And those ones are easy to just pick back up and continue kind of oscillating between. That's just a personal tool that I like, but so I don't know hope it works for others. Okay, so next slide here. So as I was kind of alluding towards the beginning, it's definitely important to, and up until now, I guess in the conversation or in the presentation, it's been a lot about in-person meetings, but of course, a lot needs to happen in virtual settings. And so if you're unable to meet in person, then of course, take that meeting online. And I do think that there are, because you're at more of a disadvantage, unfortunately, with removing all kind of the humanality from an online meeting. There are certain things that everyone can do. So since, I don't know how, 93%, well, I've heard this statistic quite a lot, but 93% of communication is nonverbal, which sounds so high, but I mean, I guess makes sense. So that point number one here, so making sure that kind of your energy shows through that screen, because you're compressed into 2D and you aren't full body. There's only a certain, only your kind of shoulders up. So it's important to overcompensate a little bit in that sense. So smiling, facial expressions, that kind of thing, just to kind of to brighten the mood. Then there are some common pitfalls of virtual interactions. So some people, you can tell when they're on their phone, they'll kind of look down, or you can even sometimes see the phone pop out into the camera range, which is definitely not good. So just to avoid any of that, put your phone away from arm's reach. You don't need it when you're in meetings or in conversations. And then also, okay, this is funny because I'm looking to the side right now, but looking at the person head on and sitting reasonably close to the camera, because I use a monitor. Well, I use a couple monitors a lot, so I will be facing. But if it's in an introduction type of setting, a one-on-one, definitely important to look head on and make sure that like you're not down here or something, or you're like really, really close. It should be just like a standard kind of distance away. And yeah, just engaging with the audience on a kind of authentic and human level, asking about how their day is going, which you would of course do in person, but making sure that there's some of that more kind of informal, trust building, nice small talk. I find it's always important too. Then, so from our memorable impressions toolkit, which is on the last page or two pages ago, definitely lean on that in the virtual setting, finding that common ground, taking that interest, and being humorous where possible. And then on the left-hand side of the slide, this is just a little bit of data on it. So a request, you can see it here, but 34 times more successful making an in-person request than an email. That's obviously a very high number. And then about 80% of people say that in-person meetings and team building activities are just so much better than virtual. So yeah, that's just a little bit of kind of data on that. Okay, so it's 5. We actually did go faster than I thought, but we'll see how long this activity takes. So I don't know what happened there. So yeah, okay. So if everyone could scan this QR code on their phone, or go to menti.com. So on your browser, if you search menti.com, and then you can type in that code 37255426 to participate in the Menti activity. So there's going to be 2 kind of sections to this. The first one will be helping reflect on where everyone is. It's always good, I think, to just take kind of a mental note of how you're feeling, and then also where you want to head. And then 2 scenario-based questions in kind of a networking type of setting. So I'll give everyone a minute or 2 for that. And I'm going to unshare my screen from this. Okay, present. Okay, I see. One second. Just trying to. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen back up here now. Window share. Okay, so first question is, how would you say your path feels today? So we have a few coming in now. Straightforward, tired, optimistic, a bit confused, zigzagged. I definitely agree with that. Unsure about the future, uncertain. Yeah, these are definitely all feelings that I've had for sure. Tired, cautious, 100%. Okay. I think that could be everyone. Give maybe another couple seconds here. Okay, I'll head to the next slide. Scattered. Yeah. Okay, so next question. Can everyone access this? Just want to make sure that's progressing through. Investing, yes. I know. I definitely know that feeling. Can you put the website and the code in the box? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't do that. You're right. 1 second. Let me get that in the chat. One sec. I can add it. So many things, it seems. Applying for a mortgage pre-approval. Yeah, picking up my library books. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, there's lots of there's lots of things that I feel I've been pushing off. Meal prep, getting better at writing, paying parking tickets, car to the mechanic. Yeah, I'd be pushing off taking that car to the mechanic too. Those guys always find some kind of charge for you. Ongoing experience in multiple fields to better grasp my path. I haven't had a lot of time, which is why I feel very uncertain. I'm also in school currently. Yeah, I 100%. Because my school path was like I didn't know what I was going to get into. I ended up getting into engineering, which was great. Then I was in engineering, and it's general first year at Queens. So it's like, okay, do I want to go into chemical engineering or do I want to go into computer engineering? But I'm not good at coding, so computer engineering was immediately off. But all of that too, it's like, okay, well, how do I pick? It's just there's such an inundation of different paths and streams you can take, and I feel like it's difficult to make that decision and get that type of experience. Okay, I'm going to French lessons is so true. Oh my God, my company's been doing so much work in Quebec, and I'm like, if I could just speak French, I could actually be so much more, so much more useful. Okay, I will go to the next slide. So what motivates you the most? So now we've talked about things that you've been pushing off that you want to do. Now, what could possibly help do those things? One, mapping, but what are things that can push you in that right direction to kind of get you to work on some of those things? My family, yeah. Building a future with my partner. Community, definitely community. Super important. Having a sense of community. Okay. Any other? Okay. Having accommodations for my disability is very helpful. That's good. Community support. Watching an amateur attempt something on the internet for events, a better sense of that better confidence. Yeah. Dreams and passion, family. Knowing that I can make a change. Yeah, knowing that I can make a change in people for the better. That's super. That resonates with me a lot. Okay. So I'll answer this one myself out loud. I would say that community is so important. So it's great to see that come up. I think just no matter where you are, having that sense of community and having that group and kind of support from those around you is super important. And I think that's something that I've been struggling with definitely in my most recent job is like having that sense of community because it is mostly virtual. So I am at home alone a lot. So that's been, not great. And I feel like I've been lacking that for sure. Okay, next slide. I'll jump through. Okay, so this is an interactive one where you guys will rank each of these scenarios for preparation time versus impact. So this is kind of that scenario of, okay, I'm right there at this conference, at this networking event, at this gala. You want to approach somebody, but you only have 5 minutes at the end and you're in a group setting. So what of these 5 different scenarios will make you, or do you think would resonate with them in the time that you're given? So waiting at the end or the outside of the periphery of the group and hope you get a chance to catch them, to have a chat with them, standing closer to the person and kind of intently listening for an opportunity to jump in and thinking on your feet to kind of insert yourself there. Quickly looking them up on LinkedIn and creating a specific question on their experience. That would take maybe a little bit more time. Preparing a question related to their presentation and ask as soon as a break arises in the group conversation. Going up to them and shaking their hand immediately, introducing yourself, and see how the conversation goes. Okay, so I've seen, okay, yeah, so a couple people have put theirs in. Okay, it's cool. I like seeing these move around. It's kind of it's a fun one. Okay, so what I'm seeing is 0 is the least amount of prep time. Yes, that's right. So down here, that's 0. So 0 impact, 0 preparation time. And then as you go up the axes, so it'll take a little bit more time. Will it have more impact, or is it going to be still kind of lower impact? Okay. So yeah, it looks like most people have responded to this one. So it seems like number 4 is pretty well balanced. So preparing a question related to the presentation and ask as soon as a break arises. And also, like, there's no wrong answer for this. This is just kind of more thinking about the different situations and different paths that you could take, and using that on this kind of, okay, how long will it take me to prepare? Will I miss out on getting my chance to speak to them, or is it worth taking that time, sitting back, preparing, and then kind of being strategic about what I'm going to do, and will that justify the impact? So very specific kind of situation, but I think a good thought experiment to consider. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next slide, and this is another similar situation, but now you're the speaker and panelist. So putting yourself in the other shoes of someone getting approached. So a younger person comes up to you after your presentation while you're in the lunch line. So what resonates with you most? So these all kind of have positive and negatives to them, each of these situations. And, for example, the first one, they introduce themselves and hand you a business card, but you're in the lunch line. Maybe you don't, maybe you can't grab the business card because you're holding your lunch. But they've informed you that they went to the same university and they were in the same program as you. So that's kind of, interesting. And so the scales, the axes here are the likelihood of you wanting to reconnect with that person, and then the memorability of that person. So they might be more memorable, but what's the likelihood you're going to reconnect with them, or vice versa? So I'll give a second to have some of these, because it's more of a thinking. You got to kind of think a little bit more about how you yourself would respond to it. So. Okay, I'm gonna give another couple minutes here, because I think, we're waiting on a few more respondents, and I'm gonna go turn on my light because it's really dark in here, as you can see. Much better. Okay, so we have most of them in now, which is great. So that does reach the end of the presentation, of the Menti here. So it's great to see. So number 2, so they're all kind of actually quite similar, which makes sense because they all have their positives and negatives. So yeah, 1 is 2's 4 kind of, yeah, 2's probably the problem. 2 and 1. Cool. They introduce themselves. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to end this presentation and I'm going to reshare my slide deck. One sec. Sorry, just getting my, there's a big lag here on my end. I'm just going to pop the slide deck back in. Okay, so thanks for everyone that participated in that. I hope you guys enjoyed that activity. So some final thoughts, and let's stay in touch. So I just wanted to share with everyone some of my favorite quotes that help me feel grounded while I'm trying to, figure out what my next move is and figure out my path in career and passions and everything. So the first one here, I don't think it's attributed to anyone. I don't know where it came from, but keep going. Your future self is watching. I think that's resonates with me quite a lot because, there's things that I've kind of given up on. And then I've looked back on that and I was like, I shouldn't have given up on that. Like if I just kept going, I'm sure something would have come of it. And then on the flip side, things that like I did persevere through, I'm very proud of. And I'm thinking like, that was great. I'm so glad that I just pushed through that difficult time and I got over that hump. And then this one is just cool. I really like this one where sometimes the longest journey we take is the 16 inches from our head to our heart. And that's really big for me in the sense of, I went into financial services consulting because I wanted to get a prestigious job and at a good company and whatever. And then it's like, okay, that's my head speaking. And sure, it probably helped, my career and everything. But now I've kind of made that journey closer to my heart, doing something more in the field that I care about. And then lastly, it's not where you go, but who you meet on the way. This is from a sweater that I got at the Bay, but I just love this sweater so much. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's just so true because it's not all about where you go. Everything is about the people. And that's like something that, of course, we know very well from SOI is just all the fantastic people that we've met and continue to meet. And yeah, so the end game is whatever, but who you meet on the way is what really sticks with you for life. So, okay, I'm going to pause there. We have 8 minutes left. Firstly, would love to stay in touch. Follow me on Instagram, DM me, we can chat or email me at info@representtextiles. So, yeah, you can check me out. Check out the website. Okay. Any questions? Any specific things anyone wants to talk about? Anything it's been on their minds? Just listen to your gut and know you gotta go check in your heart between those things to let you know what's what. Oh, that's a great one. It's a really good one. Any other quotes anyone has? Let me share. How do I put that in? So it's thanks. Okay. So yeah, that's gonna end up in the chat again. It's www.representtextiles.com, or if you just search represent textiles, represent dash, I always forget that. .com. There, that's what it is. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone have anything, any experiences recently that they want to share with networking, any of that type of stuff? Any questions on any of the steps that I've shared with you throughout my career? I don't know. I'm just trying to spur some kind of questions for the last few minutes here. If not, I guess we could end early. Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure. What is the thing I'm most proud of related to my career in networking? It's a good question. I mean, I definitely felt very happy about going to the Explorers Club dinner and kind of because I had to plan that whole thing. I kind of went off on a bit of a limb doing that, going down there and hoping for the best, essentially, by putting myself in a situation that, I didn't know anyone really, and hoped that it would pan out. Bought the flights, spent money on staying at the hotel and everything. So I think the fact that worked out was really, very nice at the end. But of course, that was a lot of effort. I had to go fly all the way down there, but it was totally worth it. All the way down there, it's like literally an hour flight for me, but you know what I mean? Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you joining and listening to the session. And I hope everyone learned something. Or if you didn't learn anything, maybe more introspection about where you are and where you're going. I think it's always, like I was saying before, it's very important to check in with yourself. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Berkeley. That was a fantastic presentation.
Thanks, Scott.
And the questionnaire you had, that was super intuitive. That was fun.
Great. Yeah, I know I love Mentees though. They're a great tool.
Lovely. So now in a couple minutes, we have cover letters and promoting yourself with Gabrielle Fuentes Morel. So if you wanted to, anybody who's online right now and has another hour to spare, we'd love to have you in that presentation. So yeah, thank you so much again, and see you in a few minutes.